Welcome to today's video on the $12,000 dilemma and why cash is king for young professionals. First, we'll frame why starting debt-free with a strong savings cushion is an incredible advantage. Then, we'll discuss why liquidity and security should outrank aggressive investing when your living situation or workload is unstable. Finally, we'll lay out a practical, step-by-step plan to protect your savings, leverage student aid smartly, and build flexible income that accelerates your career trajectory. Here is our roadmap. First, we will outline the context and stakes. Next, we will cover why liquidity should precede lifestyle expansion or investment, especially when stability is uncertain. Then, we will show how to move savings into a high-yield savings account. After that, we will discuss how to strategically use grants and interest-free loans. Furthermore, we will plan for small, flexible income that protects your savings. Additionally, we will reinforce the concepts with diagrams and a quick quiz. Finally, we will end with key takeaways and a concise wrap-up. Before we dive in, here is a brief disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Since everyone's circumstances differ, please consult a qualified financial professional for guidance tailored to your situation. Now let's set the context. If you are starting out with around $10,000 to $12,000 saved and little or no debt, you have a strong head start. However, during periods of intense coursework or changing living situations, what matters most is stability and immediate access to cash. Therefore, we need a plan that preserves your safety net while your foundation is still forming. Let's talk about liquidity first. Cash is not simply idle. It is your safety net. Because you may encounter rent changes, moving expenses, transportation costs, or tuition shortfalls, you need immediate access to funds. Consequently, the first move is to transfer your funds from low-yield accounts to a high-yield savings account. This preserves liquidity while earning a better yield. Next, when your living or work situation is uncertain, aim for 6 to 9 months of essential expenses in cash. Then, consider delaying Roth IRA contributions until your foundation is secure. Roth accounts are excellent long-term tools, but prioritizing stability and access at this stage reduces the risk of financial strain and avoids incurring debt or penalties. Here are the steps to move to a high-yield savings account. First, list all existing accounts, balances, interest rates, and any fees. Next, choose a reputable high-yield savings account with no monthly fees and a competitive annual percentage yield. Then, open the account and link your primary checking account. After that, transfer your emergency fund in manageable chunks, which helps you navigate transfer limits and monitor progress. Furthermore, create labeled savings buckets for rent, tuition gaps, moving costs, and a general buffer. Finally, automate monthly contributions until you reach your target cash reserve. This decision tree starts with $12,000 available. The first decision asks whether your housing and work are stable for the next 12 months. If the answer is no, the flow directs you to move the cash to a high-yield savings account. Then to cover living costs using grants and interest-free student loans where available, followed by maintaining a small, flexible income stream, and finally to reassess quarterly. If the answer is yes, the flow recommends keeping 3 to 6 months of expenses in the high-yield savings account, contributing any surplus to a Roth IRA, and automating contributions with an annual review. Next, let's discuss strategic use of student aid. Grants are non-repayable and should be pursued early and broadly. Interest-free loans, where available, are extremely low-cost capital. Use them sparingly and for essential expenses. During periods of intense coursework, allocate aid to rent, groceries, and transportation so your cash reserve remains untouched. In terms of order, apply grants first, then consider interest-free loans, and only then dip into your cash if necessary. Throughout, borrow conservatively with a clear payoff plan after graduation. Let's compare approaches. The cash-first approach maximizes liquidity, offers a stronger buffer for tuition gaps and moving expenses, reduces stress during intense academic periods, prevents forced selling or debt, and positions you to invest at a better time. In contrast, the invest-first approach may offer higher long-term returns, but it reduces liquidity during transitions, increases the risk of early withdrawals, may trigger penalties or opportunity costs, and can be poorly timed when your situation is unstable. This pie chart illustrates a sample monthly essentials budget. Rent takes the largest share at around 40%. Food is 15%. transportation is 10%, and tuition gap is another 15%. A 10% buffer helps absorb unexpected costs. Utilities account for 5%, and a small 5% is reserved for discretionary fund. This is a model to visualize priorities while preserving your emergency fund. Now let's shift to income acceleration. Instead of focusing only on accumulating savings, target a flexible, minimal income stream that fits around your coursework. For example, aim for 1 or 2 shifts per week, or 5 to 10 hours that do not undermine your study time. A goal of $200 to $400 per month can cover textbooks, transportation, and small fees. Next, prioritize roles that build career capital, such as field-adjacent positions, lab support, tutoring, or technical assistant work. These roles strengthen your resume, produce valuable references, and often lead to higher starting salaries after graduation. Meanwhile, protect your high-yield savings account by using side income for small and recurring expenses so you avoid tapping your principal. Finally, use a simple execution checklist. Block your study time first, schedule work around it, set a minimum monthly income goal, track results, and reassess each academic term to adjust hours while keeping the same objectives. This timeline maps a 12 to 18-month stability plan. In months 0 to 1, you open a high-yield savings account, transfer funds, and label buckets. In months 2 to 3, you apply for grants and aid and secure interest-free loans if needed. In months 4 to 6, you begin flexible income to handle pop-up expenses. From months 7 to 12, you maintain 6 to 9 months of cash and reassess quarterly. Finally, between months 12 and 18, if your situation is stable, you maintain 3 to 6 months in cash and begin contributing surplus to a Roth IRA. This table compares common accounts. Checking offers immediate access with very low yield and very low risk, ideal for daily spending. High-yield savings accounts offer high liquidity, better savings yields, and very low risk, with typical transfer times of 1 to 3 days, making them ideal for emergency funds. Roth IRAs allow withdrawal of contributions, but not necessarily earnings without conditions. Their yields are market-linked with associated risk, and they are best for long-term retirement after building a cash buffer. Brokerages also offer market-linked returns and risks, with access times dependent on settlement. They are also best used after a sufficient cash buffer is in place. Quiz time. If you have $10,000 to $12,000 saved but your housing and workload are unstable, what should be your first move? Option A. Max your Roth IRA immediately. Option B. Move the savings to a high-yield savings account and build a 6 to 9 month buffer. Option C. Buy individual stocks for higher returns. Option D. Pay for everything in cash now and reduce savings to $1,000. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Prioritize moving savings to a high-yield savings account and building a 6 to 9 month buffer. This choice ensures you have liquidity for essential expenses without resorting to debt. Once your foundation is stable, you can begin contributing to a Roth IRA. Second question. How should grants and interest-free student loans fit into your plan during heavy coursework? Option A. Ignore them and use only cash. Option B. Use grants first, then interest-free loans to cover essentials, thereby protecting your cash reserve. Option C. Use high-interest credit cards. Option D. Invest the grant money in stocks. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Grants should be used first because they are non-repayable. Interest-free loans are extremely low cost and can cover essential living expenses. This sequencing protects your cash reserve while you manage academic demands. Here are the key takeaways. When your situation is uncertain, cash is king. Move savings to a high-yield savings account for better yield and fast access. Use grants and interest-free loans to preserve your buffer. Maintain a small, flexible income to handle pop-up expenses. Once stable, keep 3 to 6 months in your high-yield savings account, and then contribute surplus funds to a Roth IRA. To summarize, prioritize stability and liquidity during periods of major transition. A high-yield savings account outperforms low-yield accounts by offering both access and better returns. Strategic use of aid and flexible income allows you to protect your core savings. Finally, begin investing only after your foundation is strong and stable. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more. In the comments, tell us your plan and what steps you will take next.